Hey, what's up guys, Will here for GSM Arena. If you're looking for a high-end Samsung phone but not a full-on flagship, you might be wondering which one to get. The Galaxy A56 is the star of Samsung's A series, and we also expect it to be released in the USA, unlike its predecessor. Samsung has been taking its sweet time with this release though. And then there's the Galaxy S24 FE, last year's not quite flagship model. So which one would get you more bang for your buck? Let's put the Galaxy A56 and S24 FE head to head and find out. The Galaxy A56 packs the latest and greatest features available in Samsung's Galaxy A series. Meanwhile, the Galaxy S24 FE has a trimmed-down version of last year's flagship feature set. So these two phones are actually on a more even footing than you might expect. They're very similar design-wise. Both phones have a flat back made of Gorilla Glass Victus Plus and an aluminum frame. They're the same size, but the A56 is a bit lighter. When it comes to ingress protection, the S24 FE has a slight advantage with this IP68 rating versus the A56's IP67 rating. This means that while both have protection against water submersion, the S24 FE could theoretically survive in a bit deeper water. The display of these two phones is about the same. Both have a 6.7-inch OLED panel with a 1080p resolution, a 120Hz refresh rate, and Gorilla Glass Victus Plus protection. The only real difference we could determine is that the max brightness is a little higher on the S24 FE. We maxed out at 1370 nits, compared to a little over 1000 on the A56. Still, the usability outdoors is good either way. Both screens are sharp, look good, and have support for HDR10+ video playback. And the refresh rate handling is the same on either phone too. The smooth 120Hz can dial down to 60Hz automatically to save power. There's a pair of stereo speakers on either phone, though the S24 FE's setup is a little bit louder than the A56's. Both have good sound quality too, though the FE's packs a bit more in the mid-range. Let's have a listen to both to compare.
I'm wide awake, but you're a nightmare. I can't escape, I'm seeing you everywhere.
You can wake up and unlock either phone with an optical under-display fingerprint reader. And while we can get both phones with 128 or 256 gigs of storage on board, only the S24 FE has a 512 gig tier as well. The Galaxy A56 runs Samsung's One UI 7 out of the box, and the S24 FE has gotten an update to that as well, so both phones have the same software experience. Well, almost. With the S24 FE, you get extensive connectivity options through Samsung's DeX, which isn't supported on the A56. But both phones pack some Samsung-exclusive AI features, on top of those provided through Google Gemini. To find out more about One UI and its AI features, you can check out our dedicated video. The software support of these two phones is functionally the same. The S24 FE gets 7 years of updates, while the A56 gets 6, but it's a year newer, so they're on par. The chipset is one of the biggest differences between these two phones. On the Galaxy A56, you get a mid-range tier Exynos 1580. Meanwhile, the S24 FE comes with an Exynos 2400E. This provides what we considered cutting-edge flagship performance just a couple of years ago. As you might expect, the difference between these phones' performance is night and day. In benchmarks, the Galaxy S24 FE earns roughly double the CPU scores of the A56, and 3 times the graphics scores. If you're after this sort of performance for heavy tasks or gaming, then the S24 FE is the obvious choice. But the A56 still has enough power to run smoothly for your everyday needs. And in our prolonged stress tests, we observed that the A56 is much better at thermal management than the S24 FE. Its chipset is more modest and doesn't run as hot. When it comes to battery life, both phones earned a comparable overall active use score in our testing. The phones had different strengths though. The A56 is better when it comes to web and social media browsing, while the S24 FE has better gaming runtimes. The A56 brings upgraded 45-watt charging, compared to the 25 watts on the S24 FE. Despite that change, the difference in charging speed is marginal. The A56 charges about 10% more than the S24 FE in a half hour, but a full charge takes the same time on both phones, about 70 minutes. The S24 FE does have wireless charging though, and reverse wireless charging, neither of which are supported on the A56. Now we have the cameras. The Galaxy A56 has 3 on the back, including a main cam, an ultrawide, and a dedicated macro shooter. The S24 FE has a very similar main cam and ultrawide, but rather than a macro cam, it packs a 3x telephoto zoom. The two phones capture good photos with their main cameras, with wide dynamic range and pleasing colors. They're on par when it comes to sharpness too. But when it comes to 2x digital zoom, the FE has the upper hand. However, in the dark, the A56's main camera does a better job. Its images are cleaner with wider dynamic range, while the S24 FE shots are grainier and have darker shadows. The S24 FE is the phone with the dedicated zoom, and these images come out good, with a nice amount of detail. And at night, the FE's zoom camera doesn't do a spectacular job, but it's still better than not having any zoom camera at all. The ultrawide cameras are roughly on par, with minor differences in detail processing. The A56's sharpening is dialed a bit higher, while the S24 FE's is more natural. At night, comparing the ultrawides, we see similar levels of detail from the two phones, and it's a toss-up overall. The A56 has a 12-megapixel selfie cam, compared to a 10-megapixel one on the S24 FE. Both have fixed focus. We'd say the selfies are slightly better on the A56. They're a bit sharper, with a little better rendition of fine detail. And here's a look at 4K selfie videos taken with either phone. The Galaxy S24 FE can record video in up to 8K with this main camera, while the A56 maxes out at 4K. When comparing the 4K footage from the main cameras, both phones do great. The A56 is doing a bit more sharpening, next to the more conservative S24 FE. The FE's 3x zoom video isn't excellent in and of itself, but it wins in this comparison just by being an option. And 4K footage from the ultrawide cameras of both phones comes out pretty good. In the dark, the A56 exposes brighter, and its footage is a little sharper, but the S24 FE's results are still good. So that was this year's top model of Samsung's A series versus their budget flagship from last year. So which one is the winner? Both phones have a similar size and design, and the screen is about the same too. You have Samsung's One UI 7 on both devices with the same software support, and the overall battery life and wired charging speeds are roughly equal. But the Galaxy A56 is the lighter phone. We preferred its selfies and low-light photos, and it has a dedicated macro cam. And probably the biggest advantage is that this phone is less expensive. The S24 FE has its own advantages though, the biggest ones being its much more powerful chipset, dedicated telephoto zoom, and wireless charging. It also has IP68 ingress protection, a slightly brighter screen, louder speakers, and DeX connectivity. In the end, the S24 FE is the better choice if you're looking for a powerful chipset and dedicated zoom. Otherwise, better go for the A56 and save some cash. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.